The three alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their hulls gleaming with technologies that humanity could barely comprehend. Captain Junho stood at the observation deck of the lunar station, watching them approach with cold eyes. He had seen these ships before, 5 years ago. When they first arrived to deliver Earth's sentence, the Galactic Council had found humanity. During a routine survey of the Outer Rim, Earth was catalogued, studied, and judged inferior within 6 months. The Council consisted of 47 species, some older than human civilization itself. They had rules, laws, and a strict hierarchy. Humanity was placed at the bottom. The tribute demands came immediately after first contact. Admiral Mayin joined Junho at the observation window. She was a small woman with sharp features and eyes that missed nothing. For 3 years, she had commanded Earth's military forces while secretly overseeing the most important project in human history. "They're early this time," she said quietly. "They smell weakness," Junho replied. The last tribute payment had nearly bankrupted 12 nations. Food riots had broken out in 7 major cities. The Council didn't care. They viewed humans as children playing with fire, too primitive to deserve respect. On Earth's surface, the alien envoys landed in Geneva. The lead envoy was a Velith named Korthax, a creature standing 9 feet tall with 4 arms and skin like polished obsidian. Behind him came representatives from the Tasker Collective and the Minduri Sovereignty. They moved through the assembled human diplomats like gods walking among insects. The meeting was broadcast worldwide. Billions watched as Korthax delivered the Council's new demands. The tribute would increase by 300%. Earth would provide raw materials, rare metals, and biological samples. In exchange, humanity would receive protection from hostile species and permission to exist. And if we refuse, asked Earth's representative, tired man named Ambassador Park. Korthax's translator device made his laughter sound like grinding stones. "Then we demonstrate why the Council has maintained order for 10,000 years. Your major cities will burn. Your military installations will be reduced to glass. You will learn the price of defiance." The transmission ended. Across Earth, people reacted with fear and rage. Protests erupted in every major capital. Some demanded compliance. Others called for war. But everyone understood the truth written in Korthax's eyes. The Council viewed humanity as property. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, something ancient stirred to life. The facility had been built in secret over 15 years. Thousands of engineers, scientists, and workers had devoted their lives to this project. They called it the Iron Lotus, humanity's answer to alien oppression. Dr. Heian stood in the massive hangar bay, watching as the final weapon systems were installed. She had designed most of them herself, working from humanity's long history of killing each other efficiently. The aliens had energy shields and plasma weapons. Humans had something better. They had malice refined over 10,000 years of warfare. The Iron Lotus stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was layered with ablative armor designed to absorb energy weapons. Railgun batteries lined its flanks, capable of accelerating tungsten slugs to a fraction of light speed. Missile pods contained nuclear warheads, each one powerful enough to crack a small moon. And at the ship's heart was the plasma lance, Hune's masterpiece. A weapon that could burn through anything given enough time. Lieutenant Deho ran. The final diagnostics from the tactical station. Every system showed green. The fusion reactor hummed with barely contained power. The engines could push the Iron Lotus to speeds no alien ship could match. Humans had learned to build fast, brutal, and efficient. They had learned by fighting themselves for centuries, Captain. Junho arrived at the facility 6 hours after the Council's ultimatum. He walked through the corridors of his ship, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. The crew numbered 800 men and women, all volunteers, all understanding that they might not survive what came next. Admiral Warship appeared on the main screen as Junho reached the bridge. "The Council fleet has taken position above Earth," she reported. 42 ships. They're powering weapons. Do we have clearance? Junho asked. Mion's face was carved from stone. Earth's government is divided. Half want to negotiate. Half want to surrender completely. She paused. I'm giving you direct authorization, Captain. Launch when ready. Junho looked around his bridge. Commander Salman sat at weapons control, her hands steady. Engineer Tai Yang monitored the reactor, ready to push it beyond safe limits. Communications Officer Kyunho waited for orders. They were all so young, Junho thought. Too young to carry this burden. At all stations. Report status, Junho ordered. Weapons hot, Salman reported. Engines ready, Taiyang confirmed. Communications standing by, Kunho added. JUNHO settled into his command chair. Through the main viewport, he could see Earth hanging in the distance, blue and fragile. Somewhere down there, billions of people waited to learn their fate. Some prayed for peace. Some prepared to fight with whatever they had. All of them had been pushed too far. Take us out, Junho commanded. Full stealth approach. Target the Council fleet. The Iron Lotus slid from its hidden dock, merging with the asteroid field. Its hull was coated with materials that scattered sensor beams. 2 alien eyes, it would appear as just another piece of space debris. The ship accelerated smoothly, building speed as it approached Earth. Aboard the Vrelith flagship, Korthax watched Earth's cities light up with activity. He could see the military bases powering up their primitive defenses. Missiles, aircraft, ground batteries, all of it would be swept aside like a child's toys. The humans would learn their place. The commander, his sensor officer, reported. Unknown contact emerging from the asteroid field. Korthax barely glanced at the display. Probably a human cargo ship trying to flee. Ignore it. Focus on primary targets. The Iron Lotus broke from the asteroid field at full acceleration, its weapons charging, its crew ready. In the command chair, Captain Junho watched the Council fleet grow larger on his screens. 42 ships, each one carrying enough firepower to devastate a continent. All weapons, lock targets, he ordered quietly. Prepare to fire on my mark. The distance closed. 500,000 kilometers? 400,000. 300,000. Sir, they're hailing us, Kyungho reported. Put them through. Korthax's face filled the screen, his expression shifting from arrogance to confusion. Human vessel, identify yourself. You are ordered to stand down and prepare to be boarded. Junho leaned forward in his chair. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Negative. You have 10 seconds to withdraw from Earth's orbit. Korthax's laughter echoed through the bridge. You dare threaten the Council? Your ship is primitive. Your weapons are obsolete. We will destroy you and then burn your world as an example. Gunho counted down silently. 10 seconds passed. The Council ships held position, their weapons still aimed at Earth, Fire Junho said. The Iron Lotus unleashed hell, asterisk. The first railgun salvo crossed 300,000 kilometers in 8 seconds. Tungsten slugs, each weighing 200 kilograms, struck the Vrelith flagship at 17% of light speed. The alien shields flared brilliant blue, designed to deflect energy weapons and slow plasma bolts. They had never been built to stop solid matter moving that fast. The slugs punched through the shields like paper. The flagship's hull buckled, atmosphere venting in frozen streams. Secondary explosions rippled along its flanks as power conduits overloaded. Korthax had exactly 3 seconds to understand that he had miscalculated everything before his ship tore itself apart. Target destroyed, Commander Soman reported from weapons control. Her voice was steady, professional. She had already moved to the next target. Engaging second target. The Council fleet scattered in confusion. They had expected primitive missiles, chemical rockets that could be shot down easily. Instead, they faced weapons that moved faster than their sensors could track. The Iron Lotus rolled smoothly, bringing its port batteries to bear. More tungsten death screamed across the void. A Tasker cruiser exploded when 3 slugs pierced its reactor core. A Mindari destroyer simply broke in half, its superstructure unable to withstand the kinetic impact. The aliens tried to return fire, but their plasma weapons took precious seconds to charge and aim. The Iron Lotus was never where they expected it to be. Captain Junho watched his tactical display with cold satisfaction. Taiyang, give me full power to engines. Soman switched to missile pattern Delta. Acknowledged. Both officers responded. The Iron Lotus accelerated hard, pushing past the Council formation. As it moved, missile pods opened along its hull. Nuclear warheads launched in precise sequence, their targeting computers already locked on enemy ships. The aliens had point defense systems, automated weapons designed to shoot down incoming missiles. But they were calibrated for alien technology, alien speeds. Human missiles were different. They accelerated harder, maneuvered faster. And when the alien defenses did manage to intercept them, the nuclear detonations blinded sensors and disabled nearby ships. 6 missiles got through. 6 nuclear fireballs bloomed in the darkness, each one erasing a Council vessel from existence. Enemy fleet attempting to reorganize, Lieutenant Deho reported. They're forming a defensive sphere. Junho studied his display. The Council ships were adapting, trying to protect each other with overlapping shields. It was a good tactic against energy weapons. Against humanity's arsenal, it was a fatal mistake. Salman, target the center of their formation. Maximum yield, plasma lance. In the heart of the Iron Lotus, Dr. Hein's weapon came alive. Magnetic bottles contained a plasma heated to temperatures that matched the surface of a star. The weapon had taken 8 years to develop, using principles from abandoned fusion research. When it fired, it released a stream of superheated matter that moved at near relativistic speeds. The plasma lance struck the center ship of the Council formation. Shields evaporated. Hull metal vaporized. The ship became a brief sun, its death throes cooking the vessels around it. 3 more Council ships died from thermal radiation alone. The defensive sphere collapsed into chaos. Multiple enemy vessels breaking formation, Deho announced. 17 ships retreating. 12 attempting to maintain position. Let them run, Junho ordered. Focus on targets that remain. The battle lasted 32 minutes from first shot to final kill. When it ended, 36 Council ships had been destroyed or disabled. 6 had managed to jump to faster-than-light speed, fleeing back to their home systems. The Iron Lotus had sustained minor hull damage and expended 60% of its ammunition. In the command chair, Junho allowed himself a single deep breath. Around him, his crew remained at their stations, professional despite what they had just done. They had killed thousands of alien beings in half an hour. The enormity of it hung in the air like smoke. Communications, Junho said quietly. Open a channel to Earth. Admiral Mayin appeared on screen immediately. Behind her, Junho could see the military command center in chaos. People were shouting, celebrating, crying. Captain, we're receiving surrender requests from Council ships and other systems. They saw what happened. They're terrified. Good, Junho replied. Transmit our demands to all Council worlds. Earth's tribute is over. Any species that enters our solar system without permission will be destroyed. We're not asking for negotiation. We're stating terms. Maya nodded slowly. The Council is calling an emergency session. They're declaring humanity a rogue species, a threat to galactic peace. Then they should have left us alone, Junho said. He felt suddenly tired, ancient. Prepare the crew for extended deployment. If the Council wants war, we'll bring it to their doorstep. The transmission ended. Kyungho, the communications officer, turned in his chair. He was young, barely 25, and his hands were shaking slightly. Sir, we're receiving messages from all over Earth. People are calling us heroes. Junho looked at the debris field spreading across his viewport. Pieces of alien ships tumbled slowly, reflecting sunlight. Each piece represented lives ended, families destroyed. He wondered if the aliens had loved ones waiting for them to return home. He wondered if it mattered. Get me damage reports from all sections, he ordered. Taiyang, I want full diagnostics on the reactor. We're not going home yet. Engineer Taiyang looked up from his console. Sir, the reactor is stable, but we pushed it hard. If we engage in another sustained battle without proper maintenance, We risk containment failure. Noted. How long until we can jump to FTL? 6 hours if we want clean transitions. For if you're willing to risk drive instability, Junho nodded. Begin preparations for jump. Set course for Vrelith space. The bridge went silent. Commander Salmon turned slowly. Sir, Vrelith space is deep in Council territory. They'll have time to prepare defenses, gather reinforcements. That's the idea, Junho replied. We hurt them, now we show them we're not stopping. The Council has ruled by fear for 10,000 years. It's time they learned what real fear feels like. Dr. Heian appeared on an internal channel from the weapons bay. Her face was streaked with sweat and coolant fluid. Captain, I need to advise against further engagement. The plasma lance requires complete recalibration. The railguns need barrel replacements. We're running low on, I know, Gunho interrupted gently. Do what you can, Doctor. We have 6 hours. The Iron Lotus moved through the debris field, its hull scarred but intact. Behind it, Earth began to celebrate. News channels showed the battle footage on endless loops. People danced in the streets. Politicians gave speeches about humanity's strength and determination. They didn't understand yet. This wasn't a victory. It was the beginning of something that couldn't be stopped. In his private quarters, Holmes stood at the small viewport and watched Earth recede. He had been born in Seoul, raised in a world that believed in diplomacy and cooperation. He had joined the military because he wanted to protect people, not slaughter them by the thousands. Now he commanded a weapon that had just proven humanity could match any species in the galaxy for sheer brutality. A message arrived from Admiral Mayin, text only. The Council has issued a death warrant for you personally. They're offering a bounty of 1 million. Credits to any species that can destroy the Iron Lotus. Every mercenary and bounty hunter in the galaxy will be hunting you. Junho typed a simple reply. Let them come. We'll be busy. He closed the message and returned to the bridge. His crew looked at him with expressions mixing pride, fear, and determination. They had followed him into battle once. They would follow him again, into the heart of Council space, against odds that would make what they just survived look like a training exercise. All stations prepare for FTL transition, Junho ordered. Destination, Vrelith Home System. We're going to make them understand that Earth isn't asking for permission to exist anymore. The Iron Lotus turned away from Earth and jumped into the darkness between stars, carrying humanity's fury toward an empire that had never known defeat. The jump took 3 days. The Iron Lotus traveled through dimensions that human minds couldn't properly comprehend, folding space around itself using technology that Earth scientists had reverse-engineered from captured alien databases. When they emerged at the edge of Vrelith space, 40 warships were waiting. Lieutenant Nari studied the tactical display with growing concern. She had been promoted after the battle above Earth, replacing an officer who had suffered a nervous breakdown. Now she stood at the tactical station, watching enemy contacts multiply on her screens. Captain, they've arranged themselves in a defensive formation. Multiple overlapping fields of fire. They learned from the first battle. Captain Junho studied the enemy deployment. The Vrelith had positioned their ships in staggered layers, creating zones where the Iron Lotus would face fire from multiple angles simultaneously. It was a competent response. It wouldn't be enough. Commander Salmon, what's our weapons status? Salmon ran her fingers across her control panel. Railguns at 80% capacity. We managed to replace 4 barrels during transit. Missile reserves at 40%. Plasma lance is operational, but Dr. Hoon recommends limited use. Noted Tai Yang. How's our reactor? The engineer's voice came through, slightly distorted. Stable for now, sir. But we're running hot. Any sustained combat will push us into the red zone. Junho nodded slowly. The Vrelith were forcing him to either withdraw or commit to a battle that might destroy his ship. They had planned well. Too bad for them that humans had spent thousands of years learning how to win battles they shouldn't survive. Communications open a channel to the Vrelith flagship. A Vrelith commander appeared on screen, his forearms crossed in what might have been a gesture of defiance. Human vessel. You have entered Vrelith's space without authorization. Surrender immediately, and you will be granted a quick death. Resist, and we will make your species suffer for 10 generations. Noted, Junho replied calmly. Here are my terms. Complete withdrawal of all Vrelith forces from human space. Full reparations for the damages you've caused Earth. Recognition of human sovereignty. You have 1 hour to comply. The Varith commander's laughter was like stones grinding together. You face 40 ships with 1 damaged vessel. You are insane, probably Junho admitted. 1 hour. After that, we demonstrate what insanity looks like. He cut the transmission. Around him, the bridge crew worked in focused silence. They had all seen the tactical analysis. The odds were significantly worse than the battle above Earth. The Vrelith had better positions, more ships, and time to prepare. Standard military doctrine said to withdraw and wait for reinforcements. But Earth didn't have reinforcements. The Iron Lotus was humanity's entire deep space fleet. If they retreated now, the Council would know humans could be intimidated. Every species in the galaxy would line up to take their shot at Earth. The only option was to win, no matter the cost. Nari, plot an attack vector, Junho ordered. I want a high-speed approach through Sector 7. We'll use the asteroid field for cover. Sir, that approach leaves us exposed to 3 of their defensive positions, Nari protested. No. They'll expect us to avoid that route, which means they won't have concentrated their forces there. It's our best option. The hour passed slowly. The Vrelith held their positions, confident in their superiority. They had called in reinforcements from nearby systems. By the time the deadline arrived, they had 56 ships arranged in perfect defensive coordination. Time's up, Junho said quietly. All hands to battle stations. Execute attack pattern Omega. The Iron Lotus accelerated hard, diving toward the asteroid field at speeds that made the crew's gravity dampener strain. The Vrelith fleet reacted immediately, ships moving to intercept. Energy weapons reached across the void, painting the darkness with lethal light, but the Iron Lotus was already gone. Weaving through the asteroids with maneuvers that should have torn the ship apart, human pilots had learned 3-dimensional combat in Earth's asteroid belt. They knew how to use debris, how to mask their approach, how to emerge from cover firing. The Iron Lotus burst from the asteroid field at full acceleration, railguns blazing. The Vrelith ships in Sector 7 had been repositioned to face the expected attack from a different angle. They were caught sideways, their shields weakest. 4 ships died in the first salvo. Break left, full evasive, Junho commanded. The ship rolled hard as plasma bolts streaked past. One clipped the starboard hull, vaporizing 10 meters of armor plating. Alarm screamed. Damage report. Hull breach on Deck 7, Taiyang reported. Sealing now. No casualties. The Iron Lotus dove through the Vrelith formation, firing constantly. Tungsten slugs found targets with brutal efficiency. Nuclear missiles turned night into brief day. The Vrelith tried to maintain their formation, but the human ship moved too fast, struck too hard, and vanished before they could coordinate responses. 3 hours into the battle, the tide began to turn. The Vrelith adapted to human tactics. They abandoned their rigid formations and began hunting in packs, using speed and numbers to corner the Iron Lotus. Twice, the ship nearly got trapped in crossfire. Twice, Junho ordered maneuvers that pushed the engines beyond safe parameters. Reactor temperature critical, Taiyang warned. We need to reduce power or risk containment failure. Not yet, Junho replied. He watched his tactical display, seeing the pattern emerging. The Vrelith were herding him toward a kill zone where 20 ships could focus fire simultaneously. If he reduced speed now, they would catch him. If he maintained speed, the reactor might explode. Salman armed the plasma lance. Full power. Sir Dr. Han said, I know what she said. Do it. The plasma lance charged, drawing massive power from the straining reactor. The Vrelith saw it coming and tried to scatter, but they had committed to the ambush. They were too close together, too focused on their target. When the lance fired, it carved through 3 ships in a single continuous beam. The fourth ship caught only the edge of the blast, but it was enough to cook its crew and melt its weapons. Reactor at 120%, Taiyang called out. We're going to lose containment. Shut it down, Junho ordered. Emergency power only. Take us out of the combat zone. The Iron Lotus went dark, coasting on momentum alone. The Varith fleet, now reduced to 38 ships, held their fire. They had watched one human vessel destroy 18 of their number through sheer aggression and tactical brilliance. Now that vessel was running dark, possibly damaged beyond recovery. The safe play was to surround it and force surrender, but the Vrelith had learned caution. They maintained distance, sensors scanning for tricks. Minutes passed. The Iron Lotus drifted through debris, silent and apparently helpless. Inside, the crew worked frantically to cool the reactor to repair systems. To prepare for what came next, Lieutenant Nari approached Junho's command chair. Her voice was low, meant only for him. Sir, we've lost 30% of our ammunition. The reactor needs 6 hours minimum to cool safely. We have casualties in engineering. We should withdraw while we can. Junho didn't look at her. His eyes were fixed on the tactical display, watching the Vrelith ships maintain their cautious distance. If we withdraw, they'll call it a victory. Every species in the galaxy will think humans can be beaten. We didn't come here to fight a battle, Lieutenant. We came here to break them. By killing ourselves in the process, if necessary, before Nari could respond, Kyung-ho interrupted. Sir, incoming transmission from the Varith homeworld. It's their planetary government. Put it through. An elderly Vrelith appeared on screen, his 4 arms trembling slightly. Human Commander? I am First Council Member Draxon. We have watched your battle. We understand now that continued resistance will only result in more death. What are your terms? Junho felt something cold settle in his chest. This was the moment. This was why they had come. Full withdrawal from human space, complete reparations for damages inflicted on Earth, recognition of human sovereignty, and council membership. And one more thing? Yes. You will broadcast to every council species what happened here. You will tell them that humanity asked for peace, and you refused. You will tell them what happened when we stopped asking. Draxon's voice was bitter. You wish us to spread fear of your species? I wish you to spread truth. The Council has ruled by intimidation for 10,000 years. You made humanity pay tribute, threatened our cities, treated us as property. Now you'll tell everyone what happens when you push a species too far. Silence stretched across the communication link. Finally, Draxon bowed his head. It will be done. But know this, human. You have one today, but you have also made enemies across the entire galaxy. There will be species who view you as a threat that must be eliminated. Then they'd better bring more ships, Junho replied, and cut the transmission. The Vrelith fleet withdrew slowly, their remaining ships limping toward their homeworld. The Iron Lotus remained in place, its crew working desperately to restore power and repair damage. They had won, but the victory felt hollow. 38 alien ships destroyed, thousands dead. And somewhere in the darkness, more enemies were preparing to test themselves against humanity's fury. The Iron Lotus spent 8 days in the Vrelith system, conducting repairs while watching warily for treachery. The Vrelith kept their word, withdrawing all forces and broadcasting the terms of their surrender across council space. But the message had an effect that Captain Yunho hadn't anticipated. Instead of cowering, 2 major council powers decided that humanity needed to be eliminated before they grew stronger. The Tasker, Collective and Minduri Sovereignty announced a military alliance within hours of the Varelith surrender. Their combined fleet numbered 200 warships. Commanded by veterans who had spent centuries maintaining order across the galaxy, they mobilized immediately. Determined to catch the Iron Lotus while it was damaged and depleted. Lieutenant. Nari brought the intelligence to Junho's ready room. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. None of them had slept properly in days. They're calling it a peacekeeping action, protecting the galaxy from human aggression. 17 species have pledged support. Junho studied the star charts spread across his desk. The combined fleet was converging on the Kelvin Nebula, a massive cloud of gas and dust that lay along the most direct route back to Earth. They're smart. The nebula will interfere with our sensors, neutralize our speed advantage. Sir, we need to go around. Add 3 weeks to our return, but we'll avoid the ambush. And every species in the galaxy will know we ran away. Gunho shook his head. No, we go through the nebula. If they want to fight there, we'll accommodate them. Naris control finally cracked. Captain, we can't win this. 200 ships against one? Our reactor is barely holding together. We're down to 20% ammunition reserves. Half the crew is injured? This isn't bravery, it's suicide. Gunho looked at her steadily. You're right. By every logical measure, we should retreat. But logic isn't what wins wars, Lieutenant. Perception is... Right now, the galaxy is watching to see if humanity can be intimidated. If we run, every species out there will know we can be beaten with enough force. Earth will face invasions for the next 1,000 years. If we die in that nebula, Earth faces them anyway. Maybe, but we'll take enough of them with us that nobody else will want to try. Junho stood, feeling the weight of his uniform, his rank, his species. I'm not ordering anyone to follow me into this. Any crew member who wants to transfer to a Vralith ship and wait for rescue can do so. No shame, no questions. Nari stared at him. You know nobody will take that offer? But I had to make it. The Iron Lotus left Relith space 3 days later, fully crewed and as repaired as possible given their limited resources. Engineer Tai Yang had pushed miracles through pure determination, getting the reactor stable and the weapon systems functional. Dr. Heian had cannibalized non-essential systems to build more ammunition. They were still outmatched and outgunned, but they would go down fighting. The Kelvin Nebula was beautiful in a deadly way. Clouds of ionized gas glowed in shades of purple and blue, streaked with veins of heavier elements. The nebula stretched across 3 light years, dense enough to scatter sensor beams and turn navigation into guesswork. It was the perfect place for an ambush. Commander Soman stood at weapons control, studying the nebula readings. Visibility will be less than 10,000 kilometers. The gas plays hell with targeting solutions. We'll be fighting blind, so will they, Junho replied. He turned to the bridge crew. Listen up. The aliens out there think they have us cornered. They believe their superior numbers and technology will carry the day. They're wrong. Humans have been fighting wars in fog, darkness, and chaos since we figured out how to hit each other with rocks. This is our kind of battle. The Iron Lotus entered the nebula at reduced speed, its sensors straining to penetrate the dense gas. For 2 hours, they detected nothing. Then Kyungho's console lit up with proximity warnings. Multiple contacts, bearing 187. Range uncertain. They're using active sensors, not caring about stealth, because they think we can't hide from 200 ships, Junho said. Show them they're wrong. Cut all non-essential power. Passive sensors only. Take us deeper into the densest part of the nebula. The Iron Lotus went dark, drifting on minimal power. Through the viewport, the nebula pressed close, an alien environment that felt almost alive. The enemy fleet spread out, searching their active sensors, lighting up the gas clouds like flashlights in fog. They're spreading thin, Nari observed, trying to cover more area. Good Soman, prepare missile pods. We're going to hit the closest target with everything we have, then run before they can coordinate a response. The plan was brutally simple. Find an isolated ship, destroy it, and disappear into the nebula before reinforcements arrived. Then do it again. And again. Turning the enemy's numbers against them, making them afraid of every shadow. The first target was a Tasker destroyer, separated from the main fleet by 2,000 kilometers of dense gas. The Iron Lotus drifted closer on momentum alone, silent as a ghost. At 500 kilometers, Saman locked all weapon systems. Target acquired. Firing solution ready. Fire. 20 nuclear missiles launched simultaneously, followed immediately by a sustained railgun barrage. The Tasker destroyer detected the attack 2 seconds before impact, far too late to evade or activate defenses. The ship vanished in overlapping nuclear fireballs, its wreckage scattering through the nebula. "Emergency power to engines," Junho ordered. "Get us out of here." The Iron Lotus accelerated hard, diving deeper into the nebula. Behind them, the enemy fleet converged on the attack location, finding only debris and radiation. The battle had begun. For 3 days, the hunt continued. The Iron Lotus would strike, kill, and vanish. Sometimes, they used missiles. Sometimes railguns. Once, they lured 2 enemy ships into close proximity and detonated a nuclear warhead between them, destroying both. The aliens tried everything: search patterns, sensor networks, even sending ships as bait. Nothing worked. In the dense gas and interference, the human ship was a predator stalking larger but clumsier prey. By the 4th day, the enemy fleet had lost 47 ships. The survivors were growing desperate, jumpy. They fired at shadows and scattered at the slightest sensor contact. Some captains refused to follow orders, keeping their ships clustered with others for safety. The alliance was fracturing, but the Iron Lotus was dying. The reactor was running on overrides in desperation. Half the ship's systems were offline. They had 7 missiles left, and enough railgun ammunition for maybe 2 more engagements. The crew worked in shifts, snatching sleep where they could. Living on stimulants and determination and engineering, Tai Yang stared at his screens with growing dread. The reactor containment field was developing microfractures. In the next sustained combat, it would fail completely. He called the bridge. "Captain, I need to speak with you privately." Junho came to engineering 10 minutes later. Tai Yang showed him the reactor readouts, the damage assessments, the mathematical certainty of what was coming. "Next time we push it hard, we're going to lose containment. The explosion will vaporize the ship. How long can we maintain minimum power? Days? Maybe. But the moment we go to combat power, we're on a countdown." Junho absorbed this silently. "Can you give me enough warning to evacuate the crew?" "Maybe 5 minutes if we're lucky." "But evacuate to where?" "We're in the middle of a hostile fleet deep in a nebula." "Work on it anyway. If we're going down, I want to give the crew every chance I can." Tai Yang watched the captain leave, then turned back to his console. He began calculating blast radii, working through equations that described the death of his ship. Somewhere in those numbers was a way to save his friends. He just had to find it. On the bridge, Lieutenant Nari approached Junho's chair. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Sir, some of the crew are talking. They say we should surrender, that we've done enough. What do you think?" Nari was quiet for a long moment. "I think we've killed enough people to haunt us for the rest of our lives. I think we're going to die in this nebula. But I also think if we stop now, everything we've done was for nothing." Junho nodded slowly. "Get some rest, Lieutenant. We've got more hunting to do." The Iron Lotus drifted deeper into the Kelvar Nebula, its hull scored and battered, its reactor dying, its crew exhausted beyond measure. Behind them, 153 alien warships searched desperately for the ghost that was killing them one by one. And ahead, somewhere in the swirling gas, lay either death or victory. For humanity's first warship, they had become the same thing. The message came through on the 7th day in the nebula. It was transmitted on all frequencies, impossible to ignore. The voice belonged to Admiral Mayin, speaking from Earth. "Captain Junho, the Galactic Council has contacted us. They're offering full terms. Human sovereignty, council membership, complete withdrawal from our space. They're begging us to call you back." Junho sat in his ready room, listening to the message replay. Around him, the ship groaned with stress fractures and failing systems. They had destroyed 72 enemy ships over a week of brutal hit-and-run combat. The Iron Lotus had paid for each victory with pieces of itself. Now they had 3 missiles left, enough railgun ammunition for 1 engagement and a reactor that Tai Yang said could fail at any moment. "There's more," Mayan continued. "The remaining council fleet has been recalled. The Mindari and Tasker governments want to negotiate. You've won, Captain. You can come home." But when Junho walked onto the bridge, he saw something on the tactical display that made Mian's message meaningless. The remaining enemy ships, now numbering 112, had gathered at the nebula's edge. They weren't searching anymore. They were forming a blockade, a wall of ships between the Iron Lotus and open space. Lieutenant Nari saw his expression. They know we're low on resources. They're waiting for us to either run out of supplies or try to break through. Either way, they win. Where's the Mindari flagship? Kyung-ho highlighted a contact on the display. Center of the formation. It's a massive vessel, 3 times our size. The Mindari Supreme Commander is aboard, personally overseeing the blockade. Junho studied the formation for a long time. The enemy had learned. They stayed close together, covered each other's flanks, maintained overlapping sensor coverage. Breaking through would require everything the Iron Lotus had left, and probably wouldn't work. A rational commander would negotiate or surrender, but Junho had stopped being rational somewhere between Earth and the Vrelith homeworld. He had become something else, something necessary and terrible. He pressed the intercom. All hands, this is the captain. In 1 hour, we're going to break through that blockade. I won't lie to you. Our chances aren't good. But if we don't try, humanity stays weak in the galaxy's eyes. So we're going to hit them one more time. We're going to show them what it costs to threaten Earth. He closed the channel. Around the bridge, his crew exchanged glances. They all knew what this meant. Taiyang had briefed the senior officers about the reactor. This was a suicide run dressed up as a breakout attempt. Commander Soman spoke up. Sir, I have a suggestion. We could use the plasma lance one final time. Overcharge it beyond safety limits. It would burn through the blockade and give us a corridor to escape. And destroy the reactor immediately, Junho replied. We wouldn't make it 100 kilometers. With respect, sir, we're not making it much further anyway. She was right. Junho looked at his crew, these people who had followed him into hell and somehow stayed human through it all. They deserved better than this. Earth deserved better. But sometimes you didn't get what you deserved. Sometimes you got what was necessary. Dr. Hewen, Junho said into the intercom. I need you to prepare the plasma lance for overcharge. Maximum power, safety limits removed. There was a long pause before Han responded. Captain, that will cause immediate containment failure. The explosion will destroy the ship and everything within 1,000 kilometers. I know. Do it anyway. In her workshop deep in the ship, Dr. Heen closed her eyes. She had built the plasma lance to defend Earth, to protect humanity. Now it would kill the very people she had meant to protect. But she understood. This was the price. This was what it meant to make the galaxy understand that humanity could not be threatened, could not be intimidated, could not be owned. She began making the modifications. Junho called a meeting with his senior officers. They gathered in the ready room Salman, Nari, Taiyang, Kyung-ho, and Subcommander Gi-woo, who commanded the ship's marine detachment. They all looked exhausted, pushed beyond human limits. I'm taking the ship through the blockade, Junho explained. Full power to engines and weapons. We're going to aim directly at the Mindari flagship. When we're close enough, Dr. Hayan will fire the overcharged plasma lance. It will destroy their flagship, break their formation, and create a corridor through the blockade. And kill us in the process, Nari said quietly. Yes. Nari stood abruptly. Sir, I can't let you do this. It's murder. These people followed your orders, trusted your command. You're asking them to commit suicide for a symbolic gesture? I'm asking them to save Earth, Junho replied. Every species in the galaxy is watching this. If we run, if we surrender, humanity becomes weak again. But if we break that blockade, if we show them that humans will burn themselves and everyone around them rather than submit, they'll never threaten Earth again. That's insane. It's necessary. Junho looked at each officer in turn. I'm not ordering anyone to stay. Taiyang can modify a shuttle to punch through the nebula. Anyone who wants to evacuate has my permission and my gratitude. No shame, no judgment. Gi-woo finally spoke, his voice rough. I've been a Marine for 15 years. Fought in 7 conflicts. Never thought I'd die in space, but here we are. If this is how it ends, at least we're taking 100 enemy ships with us. Taiyang nodded slowly. I've been doing calculations. If I can hold the reactor together for 15 more minutes, we can push the plasma lance output to levels that will actually vaporize the Mindery flagship. Make it count, sir. Salmon smiled grimly. My family always said I'd die young. Might as well make it spectacular. Only Kung Ho remained quiet. He was the youngest of them, barely 23. Junho looked at him. Kyung Ho, I want you on that shuttle. Someone needs to get back to Earth. Tell them what happened here. No, sir, Kung Ho replied. I'm staying. Earth doesn't need another survivor. They need to know we all chose this. Nari was the last. She stood at the viewport looking out at the nebula. I still think this is wrong. I think we could negotiate, find another way. But I also know you're right. The galaxy only respects strength. She turned. I'll stay. But I want it on record that I objected to this plan. Noted, Junho said. Thank you, all dismissed. We jump in 1 hour. The crew spent that hour in different ways. Some wrote messages home, knowing they'd never be delivered. Some gathered in small groups, sharing memories and laughs. Taiyang worked frantically in engineering, trying to give them every extra second he could. Dr. Hun finished her modifications and sat quietly in her workshop. Surrounded by the weapons she had created, Junho remained on the bridge, watching the enemy blockade. He thought about his childhood in Seoul, about joining the military, about the day he learned Earth had been discovered by aliens. He thought about every decision that had led him here, to this moment. Commanding a dying ship filled with people who trusted him, he pressed the intercom one last time. All hands, this is the captain. In 10 minutes, we jump. Our target is the enemy flagship. We're going to hit them with everything we have. Some of you might be wondering if this is worth it, if Earth is worth dying for. I can't answer that. I can only tell you what I believe. I believe that humanity deserves to stand equal with any species in the galaxy. I believe we've earned that right through sacrifice and determination. And I believe that what we're about to do will echo across the stars for 1,000 years. Earth will remember us. The galaxy will fear us. That's legacy enough for any soldier. It's been an honor serving with you all. The Iron Lotus powered up its reactor one final time. The containment field held, barely, as massive energy poured into the engines and weapon systems. The ship accelerated out of the nebula, heading directly toward the Mindery blockade at maximum speed. The enemy fleet detected them immediately. Ships moved to intercept, weapons charging. The Mindery Supreme Commander broadcast a surrender demand. Junho deleted it without listening and ordered all weapons to fire. The last missiles launched, detonating among the blockade ships and creating brief gaps in their formation. Railguns fired in sustained bursts, tungsten death reaching across the void. The Iron Lotus punched through the first layer of ships, taking hits that would have destroyed any other vessel. Hull plates vaporized, compartments depressurized. People died at their stations, still fighting to the last second. 20 seconds to optimal firing range, Soman reported. Her console was half destroyed, her uniform burned, but her voice remained steady. The Mindery flagship loomed ahead, massive and terrible, its weapons tearing into the Iron Lotus. The human ship was coming apart, trailing debris in atmosphere. Held together only by determination and rage, it's 15 seconds Salman counted. Junho gripped his command chair. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically, keeping the ship operational through sheer willpower. Nari was crying silently at her station, but never stopped working. Kyung-ho's console had exploded, but he called out targeting data from backup systems. They were all going to die in seconds, and none of them stopped fighting. 10 seconds. The plasma lance charged, drawing power that made the reactor scream. Taiyang held it together through methods that violated every safety protocol ever written. The weapon reached power levels it was never designed to handle.